Welcome back to another video. I'm Akhil. I'm a real estate agent in the Los Angeles area, and these videos are to document my journey towards finding the meaning and becoming a really great real estate agent. So today we're going to go over how I basically almost quit door knocking altogether. Some lessons from cold calling. I had a really good conversation with a more experienced agent that I disagreed with some things, I agreed with some things, I learned some things. Some notes I have on posting and a ton more, so stay tuned for the video and it's gonna be great. All right, so first things first, I'm done door knocking basically altogether. So I know in the last few videos I was like, okay, I'm gonna do cold calling and door knocking and like kind of farm that door knocking area. But after further analysis and really just kind of going over my stuff and also kind of just really focusing more on the cold calling for the leases, I kind of realized that the door knocking is not really providing much value at all. So basically, I'm just going to be door knocking like once a month, maybe once every 6 weeks. And it's going to be like a door knocking where I door knock one day in one street. It's just going to be that one day in that one street where we have a ton of leads. It's called Enfield, and it's in Encino, south of Ventura. That one little area, we have a few different good leads over there, and we kind of know a lot of the people that are living there, and we've been there multiple times. So that's the one area that we're going to knock every 4 to 6 weeks, and that only really takes a day. So I'm going to really kind of just stick to that one area, and that's about it when it comes to the door knocking. And that'll just be like, again, once every 6 weeks. So it's like pretty much zero effort in terms of taking away from the cold calling or something like that. So really what ended up happening is I kind of just, after really looking at the numbers and also speaking to the one experienced agent, I kind of realized, there's not really much I'm getting out of from the door knocking. I'm really, even though I got a couple of leads here and there, it's really just nothing that is going to be like, oh, this is like actually like a really feasible method. It's just not really worth my time. So overall, from door knocking, I've gotten a ton of great lessons, how to actually communicate better, why to always ask questions and get a better understanding of what their issues are, what they're trying to do. I've gotten a lot better at having conversations with people, just kind of, even though sometimes it is a little bit of a small talk, and I don't really like small talk, but sometimes it's just more small talk, developing a relationship outside of the real estate. I've just gotten better at having those conversations and also being, okay with, not okay, I've gotten good at just being able to just go from door to door to door, and that's, it's become pretty, it was a good lessons overall that I learned from door knocking, and it's a skill that I guess I could apply to the cold calling and all of that. So I guess that's pretty much everything to do with door knocking. I'm pretty much done. You may wonder, like, okay, you just sent out a postcard. Are you going to continue sending out postcards? Honestly, since every time I go out there every 4 weeks, I'm having flyers. Maybe once in a while I'll have like a postcard or maybe like a door hangers. The thing is with postcards is they're kind of expensive because, again, when you send out a postcard, what you're doing is you have to obviously craft it, so that takes like some time just to really make sure that it's a good postcard, and then you have to actually pay for it, and then it has to get delivered. So all of that, the cost is probably going to be at least $400 to $500 minimum in order to get to all. It's like almost 600 homes in that area. If I wanted to do this just that one street, I'm assuming it'll probably be about like $100. Split between two people, it's not that big of a deal, but it's something where it's like, is it worth the effort and time when I'm going there every 4 to 6 weeks? Maybe once in a while, or if you get a listing or something like that, then it probably would be. So probably I'm not going to be focusing as much time and effort into it. And again, I know before I kind of said that, oh, I could do kind of both and it's all good. Well, I really kind of just want to focus on getting the cold calling done, because I know if I just do that one thing, the cold call lease listings, if I do that one thing and I expand that over like a year or two, I know I can get I know that can create other business, and I know that the leads that I get from there are more valuable than anything I've gotten from door knocking. So on to the next subject, which is lease listing cold calling. So I currently have 4 lease listings. I know that's a lot different than what I said last time, because the last time I only had 1. But since from then to now, I had 3 more. One of them is a $3,000 price range, and then the other ones are $5,750 and $5,695. So a lot of things I've learned so far in the last few weeks. One is that a lot of times the listings that you get now are really just work that you've done months ago. Like all of the listings that I currently have were people that I called months ago. Only one person was somebody I called recently. And there was people I kept following up with. The property manager or owner was unable to rent it over this period of time, and they finally just decided, screw it, I'm just going to kind of use an agent. And so currently what I'm noticing is that all of these properties still are not moving. right? Even after I've listed it on the MLS, I've sent out emails for pretty much all of them. I posted it on social media. I've gotten great photos. I feel like we're priced well on most of them, but again, like I said, they're not moving. And I think the reason is because fundamentally they've been on market for a really long time because they're just like kind of not the most desirable place, right? Because if it was a desirable place, no matter how bad the photos are, the second somebody sees it, they're going to want to apply. Because again, if it's desirable, people are going to want to apply. If it's just an undesirable place because of the layout or because of the square footage or because of the neighbors or whatever the reason is, the mixture of factors compared to the rest of the market, if it's undesirable, then no matter what you really do to market it, you may get more people in the door, but at the end of the day, more people in the door does not necessarily equal more applications if it's not desirable. So what I've learned is that we're probably going to need to reduce the price. My first listing we had at 57, we had it at 5,600. The one in Sherman Oaks, and this one is currently at $49.95. And we finally started getting interest. We had 2 applications on it. They weren't the great of applications, but we did have 2 applications on it. The landlord did deny both of those applications, but we've had so much more interest. I have more scheduled showings, and it's been like on the market for like 25 days. So like it is desirable at a certain price point, but at other price points, it's just not desirable. So that's kind of what I learned there. In terms of like what I need to do for the other ones to get them moving. I've had a ton of showings at all of them except the one in Santa Monica. I've only had like 5 or 6 people come in. I have more showings in the weekend. One I had like 6 people come through is the one in Woodland Hills, which is also a single family property. Only problem with that one so far is that we had a lot of activity at the start, but now since it's been about 4 or 5 days, or maybe 6 days now, I have no activity at all. So like nobody has been reaching out. So I guess either one of 2 things is the case. Either it needs just some more exposure on market. That's one. It just needs to have more time on market so that more people can come see it, and that way we actually have more actual people that have seen it, so that there's a more likelihood that it'll result in an application. Or problem 2 is the pricing, that it needs to be reduced even further. Compared to the comps and the rest of the market, it's pretty well priced in my opinion. Maybe it's just the layout that's turning off people. I'm not 100% sure, but I guess only time will tell. Again, for all of these, I'm doing everything I possibly can to get them rented. During the showings, I'm doing everything I possibly can. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Again, the only problem with this method, like I said, is, leases are kind of complicated in the sense that, you know, it's really kind of just finding the right person, because sometimes you get applications that just are never going to work out. They're just unqualified completely, or it's just like, really just finding the right person that actually likes the place, that's actually qualified, and and it's kind of hard to do so when the place has already been on the market. Basically, what you know is that since it's already been on the market for so long, that it's not a very desirable place, because otherwise it would have been rented. So that's all to say. Now, yeah, there's some challenges to work through, but we'll work through it. So currently, I think money spent on photographs are like what? Almost probably like what, $800 spent on photographs at this point. So yeah, like $800 spent on photographs. So hopefully I can get these leased out, so that, you know, I can recoup my initial losses and have a gain. But yeah, I think the main problem here is it's just the amount of time it takes for me to go and show all these places. One is in Sherman Oaks, one is in Santa Monica, one is in Woodland Hills, and one is in North Hollywood. So they're kind of all in different locations. Sherman Oaks and North Hollywood is pretty close, but it's still kind of a pain in the ass to get from point A to point B, just from like where I am to there, and like certain people want showings at a different time. So yeah, it's kind of a pain, but you know, it is what it is, and we gotta do it. So some other lessons that I learned here. First major lesson is that yeah, I mean, calling and volume just works. Volume is always, no matter what it is, whether it be door knocking, cold calling, anything, always the volume is what separates between success and not success. If you just do enough of it, doesn't really matter how bad you are at it. Eventually, you know, you'll get something. And in this case, once I got slightly started getting better at, you know, really like doing the cold calling, I could see that, you know, the more I can call, which is really just dependent on how much I can scrub, like data scrubbing. So the more calls I make, just the more leads I get and the more listings I'll have. Because it's like, especially within like the 4,000 to 6,000 price range, it's like a lot of these people are super responsive. The 6% is not a problem. On 3 of the listings, I did not reduce commission, so 6% total. So that's, I mean, like I said, it's a very, like they actually want the product or the service, I would say, which is good. So that's a lesson that I learned. It's really just volume, and I'm getting better at it, 100%. So that goes to the next subject, which is conversations with a more experienced realtor. So I was at the Woodland Hills, or no, sorry, Calabasas Compass office, which, if any of you know, I'm actually my actual office where my team is located is the West Hollywood office, but I got access to every single office, including Calabasas, because I live in the Valley, and I wanted access to other offices because I didn't want to have to go all the way down to West Hollywood if I wanted to print something or get a listing presentation ready or something. I didn't want to have to go all the way down to West Hollywood and drive all the way back. That didn't make any sense. So I got access to all the nearby offices. So I was in the Calabasas office because I was just near there for a showing for my lease in Woodland Hills. So I was like 5 minutes away from the office. So I stopped by so I could print out some flyers for a door knocking session. That was the door knocking session where we decided that we're not going to be door knocking more than once a month or once every 6 weeks. But yeah, I was at the Woodland Hills office, and this was like around 7 o'clock, I'd say. And I guess I didn't know who it was, but a realtor walked in the door, and he was just like saying, hey, how are you? I was just like talking. He was like giving me some small talk, and then he instantly started asking questions like, "What the heck are you doing?" Like printing out all the, like, as in like not like printing out all the flyers, but what are you doing? Why are you here? And I was like, yeah, I'm just printing out some flyers. I'm going to go door knocking. And he's like, door knocking. Well, have you gotten any success with it? And then he started like asking me, just like just questions about what I'm doing, like in terms of door knocking and stuff like that. And I answered them like honestly. And then he's like a really experienced realtor, and he's like one of those people who doesn't really care about like being nice or anything. So he's just like straight to the point. He's like, wow, you're really stupid. That's a total waste of time. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I kind of agree with you. The door knocking does kind of suck. And then, I mean, I'm obviously not doing door knocking nearly as consistently as before because, like I said, it's just not worth it. But he was just like giving me advice, and I was telling him about the lease cold calling, and I was like, yeah, I have 4 lease listings at this point. I think this is what I'm gonna like really focus on. He's like, lease listings? Those are a total waste of time. How are you stupid? What are you doing? And I was okay. So my thought process, and just this is based on Graham Stephan's course, and just like other successful realtors in my office. The leases that you do, the clients that you meet, the leads that you meet will eventually turn into sales. Like, obviously not every single person, but a lot of people that lease stuff end up wanting to buy something, or if you lease their house, they end up wanting to sell in the future. So I see leases as an easy way to get into, like, just to meet people, because at the end of the day, the more people you meet, the more likely you are to have people that are looking to buy and sell, and the more likely you are to help them buy and sell. So this guy was telling me, like, well, leases are a total waste of time. You shouldn't even be doing them. You should be focused on getting sales. What the heck are you doing wasting your time with door knocking, all this stuff? And then he, like, obviously he said, you shouldn't be doing leases at under 20,000. And I was like, okay, well, I understand what you're saying. I can see the place they're coming from. This is a realtor who's been in the business for about 15 years. He does a decent amount of business. And I was like, yeah, in your perspective, it does make sense. Like, hey, I mean, I think from his perspective, like, if you look at it, if you've been in the business for 15 years, the way he sees it, he doesn't see any point in doing any leases. He doesn't see any point in doing anything other than sales, unless it's to keep a client happy. That's what he was telling me. He only does leases in the case when a client really asks him, hey, can you do my lease? Those are the only leases that he does. And basically what he told me is, like, it's not worth your time. And I could see in his perspective it wouldn't be worth the time, because he was like, okay, like, if you take it from an hourly rate, you're not getting paid at all. And at the end of the day, like I said, like, I mean, I guess it really depends on your goals, because his goal, I would say, is to maximize the amount of money he can make. I wouldn't say that's necessarily my goal. If my goal is to maximize the amount of money I can make in the shortest period of time, I don't think I would be doing what I'm doing. My goal is to learn the skills required to get to the next step, right? And I've been really thinking about that, like, okay, what is the goal? What am I trying to optimize for? What am I solving for, right? And I'll get into this in a little bit, but I don't think my goal is not to make the most money as soon as possible. My goal is to gain skills. So, and I think in a long-term perspective, you make the most money by helping the most people. And I think if I only focused on sales, and then, yeah, obviously the question comes up, okay, if I'm not door knocking, cold calling, what am I doing? And what he said, he's like, you should be buying Zillow leads. And I think I've talked about this before, but basically Zillow leads are where, like, on Zillow, you can click to, like a person, if they see a house, they can click request tour. And if they click request tour, it'll go to an agent. It won't go to the listing agent, it'll go to an agent. who bought that like little neighborhood of leads. So like whatever, like they have like a system where there's a zip code, and for like a percentage market share of that zip code, let's just say it's 10%. Let's just say I chose Woodland Hills. I don't know the actual numbers, but I'm just going to tell you like what I remember. So let's just say I chose Woodland Hills, or like the zip code, I don't know, like I don't know, some zip code in Woodland Hills. Or I chose like whatever, let's just say I chose one zip code. I'm just going to make one up, 91111. Okay, I chose 91111. For a 10% market share of that zip code, it'll cost me $5,000 a month. Let's just say, for example. Then that means 10% of the leads who reach out for listings in that zip code will go to you, if that makes sense. So with more money that you invest, the more market share of that zip code you can get, so the more leads reach out to you for that zip code. Beverly Hills and those like really expensive areas are completely booked up. There is no availability for any other person to be in there. And yeah, it'll cost like $25,000, $30,000 a month for those types of areas to get even like 10, 20%, just because that's how valuable the houses are there and that's how valuable the leads are there. And basically, he's telling me, oh yeah, you should go find a good turnover rate place and buy it. And I was like saying, yeah, well, that would cost about $25,000 realistically. And he's like, yeah, that sounds about right. You should put it on a credit card so that you're in debt, so you're more motivated to actually get closed deals. Because right now, because you're living with, you don't have any expenses, you don't have a mortgage, you don't have anything like that. You have no like motivation to actually every single deal to like fight for it and make it happen. And I mean, look, what I said to that was like, I don't think I necessarily have to be in debt in order to be motivated to get every single lead. Because fundamentally and he also, two things that I do completely agree with that he said is that I need to improve my speaking. This is a side note. I need to improve my speaking and get rid of fundamentally and in my opinion from my vocabulary. But we'll get to that in a second. So I think, what would that do to change my actions? Because at the end of the day, all that really matters is the actions that you take, right? It doesn't, like if I'm in debt, what would that change about my actions? Because if I'm in debt and I do the same actions, it does not mean that I'll get a different result, right? That doesn't make any sense. So if I was in debt, what would the actions that I would do that would change? And I don't personally, he didn't have an answer for that. And I don't personally also have an answer for that, because I don't think it would make a difference. Because like at the end of the day, I fundamentally believe, fundamentally again I said it, but I wholeheartedly believe that I am actually trying. I mean, obviously there is no such thing as trying your best, because there's always more you can do. But I do think I'm putting down a pretty satisfactory amount of work and effort into all the leads that I get. I follow up consistently. The only people that don't end up responding to me, or the only people that I end up not following up with, are people that have either blocked me, or I followed up so many times it doesn't make sense to continue following up anymore. So I mean, every single lead I get, I pretty much go through that same process. I had every single person on the CRM. I'm always door knocking. So I don't think it'll change my actions. Like if I was $10,000 in debt right now, what actions does that change? I don't believe any. So that's all to say. That's all to say that I won't be getting into debt, and I may buy Zillow leads in the future, but at this point I don't have $25,000 just to drop on Zillow leads. Yeah, so there, like I was saying, I'll get back to, and this is what I'm going to get back to. So he was telling me when I was speaking with him, when he was speaking with me, he was talking to me, and I was trying to just explain myself. It was kind of on the spot, so I obviously didn't have anything prepared about my business or like a full breakdown of what I do. But he kind of just asked me on the spot questions, and I repeated a few phrases like fundamentally, in my opinion, and stuff like that. And I repeated it quite a few times. And he was calling me out on it basically, because I did it so many times. And he's like, you should stop doing that. You sound like an idiot. Nobody cares about your opinion, and you should stop saying fundamentally, because you're clearly using it in the wrong context. So, and I agreed with that actually. I started laughing. I was like, yeah, that's 100% true actually. I should take that as an improvement. And basically, this is also another thing that he said that I completely agree with. He said, every realtor that is in this office, most of them are actually pretty stupid. I mean, obviously I don't think people are stupid, but he said, that's what he said. So I'm just going to paraphrase what he said. Most of them are really stupid, but they have a few key skills that allows them to be successful. None of them are any smarter than you are. In fact, you're probably smarter than all of them, but you lack the few key skills that actually make a difference. And those few key skills are being able to confidently and effectively communicate to a prospect, right? Being able to be knowledgeable on the subject, and to be able to convince them to actually list or buy with you, right? And those are if you could just have those like main skills, you'll be able to grind out as many people as you want to becoming sales. And that's pretty much, you can just sit down on those three skills and just kind of grind out and use those three skills forever. And I actually agree with that. Not that everyone is stupid, but that at the end of the day, a successful realtor will have a few key skills that they are using that actually creates their success. And so basically, what I got from that is that I need to obviously develop my skills in conversations. I need to develop my skills in when I'm speaking to people, when I'm speaking to potential prospects, leads. I need to be knowledgeable and confident about the subject and be convincing enough that they want to list with me or buy with me or whatever the situation is. So that I agree with. And I think overall, like I said, I think we have fundamentally different ideas. And maybe he is right because he is a more experienced agent. And at the end of the day, what do I know? But just based on my conversations with other agents that are also equally or more experienced, I don't think he's correct in his remark that leases are a complete waste of time. I guess we'll see in 2 years because I'll be continuing to do this for as long as it takes to turn into sales. But I'm not sure if that's, the right, the path. Obviously, like I said, at some point, if I gain enough traction, I will use Zillow leads. Just testing it out. Maybe I'll test it out for 6 to 8 months. I will spend about 30 to 40 grand, maybe even 50 grand. Just testing it out, seeing what are the best zip codes, seeing if there is actually money to be made, seeing how much there is to be made, and all of that. I will 100% do that. But at this current point, I don't have the funds to do it. When I do have the funds, I will 100% do that though. So, that goes on to our next subject, posting. So, I've been posting pretty consistently, almost once a day, every single day. I would say like at least 6 times a week. And on all platforms, which isn't much compared to like Alex Hormozi, but compared to what I was doing before, it's better, and I've been getting more traction on the social media. Here are a few things I noticed. One, property tours, lease like just tours of a property do pretty well. So like me showing around a place, talking about it, that does really well. Another thing that does well is videos that have videos that are like really just showing a property, like showing a place, or have pictures of a like real estate. That so far has been pretty good, getting a lot of views compared to just me talking to a camera, or compared to me like putting up something I wrote about real estate on a tweet or something. So that is what I noticed. I'm going to continue trying to do more tours. I'm going to do a tour of every single one of my leases right now, so that's 4. Every time I have an open house, I'm going to do one of those. Anytime I go to like a listing or something, or like a team's listing, one of Jenny's listings, I'll probably take a video of that. And yeah, that's pretty much what I'm thinking about posting wise. So next, all right. So quick self-assessment. This is the next thing that I wanted to do. So I haven't really thought about this before I talked. So if what I sounds really incoherent and completely illogical, then put it in the comments. Why have I not closed anything in a while? So the last thing I closed was like 100 years ago, and I think that is because I need to get better at stuff. So I think 2 things is the main reason for that. One is the fact that I completely changed my what I'm doing and the people that I'm taking in. I really kind of changed from leases. I really kind of changed from just kind of trying to be everything to everyone, to really trying to focus on like lease listings, trying to meet those clients there, and also like the lease leads that I get from those lease listings. And I'm really trying to focus on that. And what I learned from that is that when you're transitioning, obviously there's going to be like a period of time where you don't have anything going on. Another thing is, I don't think it's necessarily that, sometimes it's just you're going to have slower periods. And I don't have like a consistent like lead vehicle where I'm just getting consistent leads and it's just like magically my closing has just dropped off. I've been pretty close to like obviously closing leases. I had multiple applications. I had an application that got accepted. The client just backed out of the lease. I had obviously those situations where I was multiple times in escrow with those developers. They all backed out. I had that one situation with that one buyer who backed out, and I've had other like small little things come up that I potentially I just like literally yesterday I had like an offer I was about to write up, but basically I kind of just couldn't do that deal because it was like a wholesaling deal where somebody was going to assign the property, and I guess I just couldn't do that because my team lead didn't feel comfortable with that type of situation because there's too much risk. So we kind of just referred it out. But yeah, like I said, it's not like I've just been like sitting on my ass or some shit. But the reason I haven't closed anything is not like oh I'm not gonna blame anything else. It's obviously me and I need to fix things. But I'm just gonna take a realist view. The reason I haven't closed anything is because I 1 switched lead generation vehicles, and 2 switched focus, and 3 need to get more consistent with my leads. So, and I also became significantly less consistent on the open houses, more so focusing on the cold calling. And the open houses I've been getting is just like, oh, the people that I've held before, they're just reaching back out to me like, hey, you want to hold this open house? I have extra time. And I've been getting that consistently pretty much every last few weeks. Instead of me, what used to happen is I would actually go out and find the one I wanted and ask the agents, but instead it's kind of been reversed because I just been kind of just really focused on those lease listings and just kind of like call as many people, scrubbing. The main problem again with the lease listing thing is it's super effective. Like within I would say I probably made like 25 calls today. I had two good conversations, 2 leads that I probably will end up meeting with. That's just like out of like 25 people that I actually called. And then half of those people weren't even like real leads because my leads are just like when I scrub, I'm using like a public record database that's really like okay at best. So it's a really good strategy, but like I said, the only problem is scrubbing just takes so long. I have to individually go through every single Zillow lease listing, and then find which ones are ran by a property management company and the owner and not by an agent, and then separately go through. And I also have to make sure that these are not short-term rentals, because short-term rentals, none of those leads are good quality at all, because they'll just be listed for a really long period of time, but they're actually fully occupied. They're not vacant because they're short-term. They'll have just bookings. So basically, yeah. And then there's a lot of filters that I have to go through to get a single lead. And it kind of takes, I would say, like at least an hour and a half for me to actually scrub for an effective call section. So let's just say if I scrub for about an hour and a half, I'll probably have about 25 to 30 good leads to call the next day, which is like, yeah, it's not amazing, but it is what I got to do to get the lease listings, and it does work over a period of time. So that's all to say that I just need to be more consistent with the calling. I'm sure I'll have at least another couple closings by the end of the year because I have these lease listings. Realistically, I think 4 of 4 could easily be closed, but a couple of them are interesting to say the least. So yeah, next thing is that I want to talk about is I also in that same frame of the leases, I pretty much stopped taking lease leads that are looking under like 5,000-6,000. I pretty much completely have not been helping those people out at all. It's not like they're asking me, hey, send me stuff, and I'm not sending it. It's more like any leads that I get that are like that, I'm just not servicing them because it's just like I have better things to focus my time on too that'll actually get me lease listings or get me better quality leads. So there's that. And yeah. So far, the buyers that I have currently, I'm still consistently sending properties to, which is a few of them, but no traction there yet. It's kind of just more passive for most of those people. So, next subject, opportunity board. What is it? Well, why I made it is because I heard Alex Shimozy talk about it, and I was like, damn, he was describing the exact problem that I kept having, which is like, I have like 58,000 million gajillion different ideas for lead generation strategies to get more leads of certain types or specific types. And at the end of the day, I only have so much time, and I can only really do one thing effectively, like one lead generation vehicle effectively. And I just don't think I obviously don't think half of those are even like, while they could be good in theory, most of them aren't. And so I'll go over those in just a minute, but basically the opportunity board is every single new idea I get. It's not just lead generation activities, but just every new idea that I get that's like, oh, I should do this thing. This will be awesome, but it's not fundamentally required for the business, or it doesn't actually help me right now solve the current problems that I have. It's just like a whole new thing that I want to try that's new. I just put it up on a list, and I just kind of have this list, and it's like 10 things that are just like new things that I could add and I want to try, but at the end of the day, I don't have enough time for that, and it's a bunch of shit. So, and at first, what I used to do, before I watched this video, obviously, of his, is I used to just try. I was like, it's okay. Let me just add this in. I'll try it for a couple days. Let me just do this. A good example is adding all my clients on social media. So I was like, it's a totally new thing. I want to do that. Yeah, let's definitely do that. That's definitely worth my time. So then on top of the normal things that I'm doing where I'm calling and following up, I'm like, okay, well, let me also just start adding people on social media, and I didn't have to take like a separate hour just to go through my contact list, and then it's like a separate thing, and then it's like, oh, what the heck am I doing? Because it's just like an infinite game that I have to keep adding people on social media every time I meet somebody. I don't know, it's like, it's one of those things where I guess in the front, if every time you meet somebody you add them on social media, it makes sense. But right now when I have like 500 contacts that I have to go through and individually check their name, remember their face, find them on social media, follow them, and then try to do that, it's like, we're talking about like a whole, it's like a thing, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's probably like 5 hours worth of shit. And I mean, as much as I would love to just give 5 hours just to following a bunch of people on social media, I'm not sure if that's the best use of my time, considering I could be cold calling in that time, I could be following up with leads in that time, I could be doing so many more, I could be making a post on my current social media right now, I could be, you know, actually putting myself and, you know, drafting up all the stuff for like the lease listings that I'm going on to, how can I effectively rent out the lease listings that I already have. Just, I think there's so many more important things that need to be done than just me just going through and thinking about the good idea, I should go back and follow everyone on social media. There's more important things than that. So since there are so many options, I made that board, and it's basically everything that's not relevant right now and I want to do at some point, I put it there so that when I have free time and everything is going smoothly and everyone's being well serviced, then when I have like a free extra, like maybe, I don't know, whatever, however much time, then I can look at those, okay, this makes sense for right now, let me add that. I can do it one by one. So I'm not just trying to like do everything all the time and just get nothing done. So I'll go over those right now. All right, so the first one of these opportunities was adding all the emails from the Zillow reach outs, from people who reach out to me from like Zillow or upperpartments.com, or for my lease listings, I get like probably like, I would say a total of like 50 reach outs. All those people come with emails. I could add all their emails onto my CRM, and also listing presentation leads. So that's everyone who I went on a listing presentation with. So that's one thing I want to do. The next thing I want to do is make or call leases that are rented out 11 months ago and see if they are willing to sell. Okay, so this one's a good one. So basically, like the ones, whatever price range, probably like 10,000, 15,000 above, call all the properties that have leased 11 or 12 months ago that have not been put back on market, just like 11, 12 months ago leased, and see if they're going to be releasing it again, like relisting it for lease, or see if they're going to be considering selling, and seeing if I as an agent can come in and help. The next thing is fixing my Zillow profile. I don't know why, but I have two Zillow profiles. One is with my Compass and one is with my normal private real estate account. And now, for whatever reason, whenever I list something, it comes into my Compass account, which is not supposed to be the right one. It's supposed to be my private one. And I tried calling Zillow. They just never respond. I think they have literally the worst customer service I've ever seen in my entire life. I sent them an email. I called them multiple times. Left voice messages. Nothing. So, yeah, I'm probably never going to do that. Make and send out next postcard. Oh, this one was from a little while ago, but making and sending out the next postcard for my little farm area. Probably never going to do that either. Send properties to Killian leads. Okay, so there's a few leads that came into for my leases that I should send properties to. I probably shouldn't because it's a total waste of time. Add all clients. Okay, this one, adding all the clients on social media. Mass agent sort by default. Oh, filter out. Oh, okay. So I wanted to filter out because I get a bunch of spam emails. So I wanted to figure out a way to filter that out. I don't really care. I'll just delete them. Come up with another method. Oh, this one I may do at some point. Come up with another method of posting other than just the ones that I'm doing. I kind of did this with the tours, like the video tours, but I kind of do a lot of just face-to-camera stuff for my shorts related to real estate. I want to come up with another method other than just doing that, and I will at some point. Compile off markets for developers. There's a ton of off markets that Compass has. They're like private exclusives. They're basically off market properties that aren't on the MLS or anything, but they're on Compass agent network private exclusives. So maybe like compiling a list. I do check it once in a while, but there's that, and then there's also like, you know, just like properties that I see come up on the market, and I do have people that I've worked, like I met in the past that are asking for like a certain thing. So it would take me like probably a few hours to really just see everything on market, see all the people that I have, see if I can match make anything. I probably won't do that because I don't think that's a really good use of time, because a lot of these developers are only looking for off-market deals. They're only looking for something really specific. It's just kind of a pain. Work with developers. There are a lot of developers that are really interesting to work with. From my experience, a lot of them tend to be very, 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 very peculiar about the properties they like, and it takes a lot of effort to find the right property. I think it would be, if I wanted to do this method and target developers, it'd be easier to target off-market, like for sales, try to get those, and then just market it to many different developers that are in the area. It's very easy to find developers. You just call all the new construction, like the owners of the new constructions that are being built, or like some of the new constructions that have been built in that area for the last like 5 years. So let's just say right now it's 2024. I check from 2019 to 2024 what has been built in that area. In like that neighborhood, let's just say it's 500 homes. Call up the people who own those, like who built those homes, like the owners while it was being built. And there you go. You have like 15 developers right there that you can pitch it to. And 100%, they're going to be their mouth is going to be watering because they love off-market deals. It's like it's very easy to get developers interested in off-market stuff. This one was interesting. Reach out to property managers and see if they're thinking, if they know anybody who's thinking. So like property managers who manage multifamily assets, see if they know any owner that's looking to sell their multifamily asset. This is interesting because there's a lot of property managers that know the owners personally who know when, okay, something's going wrong, they're doing evictions, they want to sell their property, or they're going through a divorce or something, they want to sell their property, or they're planning to expand their portfolio, they're looking to buy a property. Going through property managers would be an interesting idea. This is probably something I'm never going to do. And that's pretty much the list right here that I can see. A couple other ones that I do know of is just like cold calling developers with the private exclusives. I could do that. Like with the private exclusives, you find whatever, like the Compass agent, like off-market properties, you pitch those to developers in that area. Another one is just calling up developers, seeing if they have any projects that they want to just kind of get rid of before they're getting finished. There's that. If you just like can see, okay, this project has been going on for a while, or are they willing to sell it while it's still under construction? And then you just call other developers to see if they would finish up the construction. And that happens a lot. There's a lot of people who don't want to continue construction for a lot of different reasons. So yeah, there's that. Another one is like pitching different like organizations if you can advertise there, or just like going to different events. There's so many ways to get leads. It's pretty much insane. Another one that my coworker Danny told me yesterday that I thought was pretty interesting is like, he said for me, because obviously I'm Indian, he said if you go to Indian restaurants and then talk to the owner and see if they're looking to expand their restaurant, like get another location. And that would be an easy in, right? It's like, hey, I'm a realtor in the area. I was just wondering if you guys are looking to, you can do this with any restaurant really. I was just wondering if you guys are looking to expand and get another location. I know a ton of great retail or restaurants vacancies in the area. Would you be interested? And a lot of people are looking to expand their business and looking to get a second location. So yeah, I mean that's definitely a possibility. So there's really so many ways to get leads, and this is exactly why I need to just sit down and focus. Like there's so many different ways, there's so many different ideas that you get like just going through. That's why I had this list, and whenever I put this on this list, it's kind of like, okay, it's on the list. If I ever have time, I'll do it. And a lot of the time you never do it, but I think that's actually a good thing, because after these, I bet you once you go inside and you try to start actually doing it, you realize how much shit actually goes with it. Like calling lease listings, in theory, yeah, you just call them up. They've been on the market for a while. Of course they're going to list with somebody else. There's so many things that are involved in this, and it's just like so many different things you have to make sure. So with everything, it's like that, right? If I start going to restaurants, there's gonna be like 100 little things that I didn't know before that now I have to know in order to actually make that work effectively. Whether it's like figuring out stuff for developers, every single thing has its own like heap or sack of potatoes or shit or whatever you want to call it, and it's just gonna be a total pain in the ass. But they're just there in case for whatever reason, okay, I move past lease listings, or I don't know, whatever the situation is, I have them there. If I have time, I can do it. Like if I have the time to completely focus on that, I can. So that ends this part. Let's go to the next one. All right, so one of the final things I wanted to go over was just my overall vision and something I realized. So all along, real estate has been a plan towards learning the skills and getting the capital required to get closer to my goal. My ultimate goal is to progress knowledge for everybody, and obviously to progress the amount of life that we live for, to expand it. So obviously that begs the question, why are you doing real estate? Well, like I said, I strongly believe that if I learn the skills required to, sell in real estate. I think the fundamental skills are selling, lead acquisition through whatever medium you acquire leads from, and proper and really good customer service, because that's the only way to get word of mouth and last long in the industry. So all of that has been obviously said. I've said that before, but what have I realized? So past like couple months, I was like really thinking like, okay, like obviously I'm just like a person who thinks ahead. Obviously I have like big goals. So I'm like, how is real estate? What am I gonna do after real estate? How is it gonna work? If I do real estate forever, I can't do real estate forever if I want to accomplish my goal. What is the situation? And it's just, I keep running in my mind, and it's not like allowing me to focus properly. So I really just thought about it, and I'm like, okay, obviously this is kind of similar to what I thought before, but it's just kind of more thought out. And that is, real estate is really just a stepping stone for me to learn the skills required to do whatever else I need to do. So it's like the first step, I would say. It's like, the way I like to blanket it is just, it's like a sales job. I want to learn how to sell so that I can use that skill in whatever else I do next, right? And before, I was always thinking like, I can't spend 20 years in the industry if I want to find the meaning. How am I going to do this? Well, I don't need to spend 20 years to learn the skills required. I need to spend 5, maybe 10 years, however long it takes for me to really fundamentally understand those skills, right? Use whatever money I make and put it into the next thing, which would be the next step. Maybe that's starting a business. Maybe that's still working for somebody else, but in a different role that's requiring more skills, that's closer towards my goal. Whatever it may be, the first step is to first understand this is directionally correct, right? I'm not like right there where I want to necessarily be at the end of my life, but I'm directionally in that direction. Instead of working at like some random shit job, I'm working by myself, learning skills as sales, interpersonal skills with people, right? Learning how to acquire leads by cold lead generation and whatever lead generation methods I use in the future. Learning how to properly service leads through customer service, and learning all of those skills so that I can apply that to whatever I do next, right? Could be 5 years down the line when I'm 25. Could be like however long down the line, right? However long. Could be just 3-4 years. If I feel, the point is that I need to understand and really feel like I understand all the skills that I learned from real estate, and I know my next step forward so that I can progress and learn more new skills, right? To move me closer towards my final objective. So that is the final realization that I had. The realization that I had was it's not like a set number of time, like I need to be here for the next 5 decades, or I need to be here for 10 years, or I need to be here for 500 years, or whatever. It's more like I need to be here until I can fundamentally, thoroughly understand the skills required to get to the next step, and I know what the next step is. Because maybe I have the skills, but I'm still not at the position where I know what the next proper step is. And I actually have the time and wherewithal to actually understand the next move, right? Could be starting my own business, could be investing in something, could be me working somewhere, whatever it may be. That is what the next step would be. And once I feel like I'm ready and I actually know those next steps, and I actually understand all the skills there is to learn in real estate, then I can make that next move. And again, the only reason I got through this thought train is because it just wasn't letting me focus on my current work. I was like, okay, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? If I didn't have that question answered, then I just couldn't continue moving forward. So now that I have that question answered, we're all good. So now you kind of understand the path. The path, obviously, there's no perfect plan, and I already know, the quote, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. I have no plan. I just want to learn skills, right? The skills required to accomplish my final objective, finding the meaning. So as long as I can gain those skills in whatever medium possible, it could be a wavy path, but I'll get there at some point. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Even if I'm here for the next 20 years in real estate, I don't care, as long as I'm learning the skills required to get to my next step. As long as I'm moving closer towards my goal every single day, it doesn't really matter. I don't care how long it takes. I'll be there. I'll be the 80-year-old man clinging. I will not die until I accomplish my objective. So, next, some mini tips I learned. So, I'm just going to go over some tips. This is not related to the overall objective. This is going to be just some mini tips I learned in the last few weeks, and maybe some I have learned before but just haven't vocalized. Or maybe I did vocalize, I just don't remember. First thing is group showings. I have talked about this one before, but I keep getting reminded about how important it is to schedule multiple groups at a single period of time for a place, especially for leases. If you schedule 5 groups, one of them won't show up, one will show super early, one will show on time, one will show late, and one will show super late. So it'll automatically kind of sequence itself out. And even if a couple people see each other, it's not that big of a deal. And it's just so much more efficient. You don't have to drive out multiple times. You don't have to do like a bunch of dumb stuff. It's just very simple, straight to the point. Schedule multiple people. People see each other, more likely to put in an application. Overall, just the best thing you can do is group showings. Obviously, if it's like a bigger property, it's a more expensive property. You're going to want to do private showings, but for leases, cheaper properties, maybe condos, group showings all the way. And the next one is just like try not to go out for only one showing. Like driving time, if I have to drive even just 20 minutes to a place for a showing, that's 40 minutes total plus 15, 20 minutes to prep the place. For only one party that may show up late and or not show up, not worth it at all. So, the next thing is the importance of follow-ups. I keep getting reminded, especially with the cold calling, it's just how important it is to follow up in a timely manner. I do have those, like I always get the people on the CRM, but sometimes I schedule it out too far or I miss it, and it's just they ended up listing it with a different agent or something like that, or they ended up renting it, or I know I had the opportunity, but because I forgot to follow up or because I wasn't able to follow up, I lost the opportunity. The next thing would be referrals. I had two recent things with referrals. I think referrals are kind of interesting. One of them was an open house lead that wanted to buy out of state, so I referred it to an agent out of state. Another one is just like a person who came to me, just like they're like a wholesaler who wants a property that's off market. They want to assign it to another person, which it's really risky for an agent to do that, because if the person they assign it to ends up buying the place and something is wrong, they'll come after me because I'm representing them, but I'm actually representing the person who's assigning it to them. So it kind of becomes murky. So it's better just to refer them to the listing agent and have them take care of it. But yeah, that's how I referred it. So yeah, referrals are kind of interesting. I'm sure a lot of people miss the fact that a lot of big agents have so many referrals because a lot of big clients buy here, in Los Angeles, Miami, New York, Seattle. They buy in like 5 different locations. So if you refer them to, if you have one client, you refer boom, 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 you get 25% here, 25% here, 25% here, 25% here of the commissions. It can obviously add up, especially if they're big deals. And then also mini tips. I'm sure many brokerages have it, but Compass specifically has Compass exclusives that are super useful. They're basically like private little properties that are like really, really good, that are off market, but also like available for Compass agents. So yeah, I guess Compass exclusives are like off markets that are only available to Compass agents. They're not listed on the MLS. And they're just properties that are available within the Compass network. So they're kind of useful. I mean, especially if they're fixers, they're kind of like, they're the equivalent of off markets for developers. So they kind of work. I just set up an alert and I can send those to developers. And aside from that, we're all good. That's the entire video. We went over, my why I'm not door knocking, just some things, just the new recent things about lease listings, some other things about the cold calling, just overall tips, my goal, a quick self-assessment, my opportunity board and what it was, how real estate is going to help me towards my goals, and how I'm going to cling to life. So, on to the next, and I'll see you guys in a few weeks, or maybe a couple months, or we'll see. I don't know, however long it is until my next video. And one step closer, day by day. Let's get there, one step at a time. We make the list, cross off the list, do it again. Make the list, do the list, cross off the list, do it again. Right? That's how it is. Just keep getting shit done. Let's go. All right, on to the next.